Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Amy Adams. I'm a registered dietitian and a bikini bodybuilder. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. If you're coming back, then welcome back. So today we are going to do a quick little Q&A. I had put in my story on my Instagram for you guys to ask me questions, and I had about 5 or 6 questions that were really good, so I thought I'd go through them with you. Most of them are asking for my expertise in nutrition, sleep, stress management, as well as my experience as a bikini bodybuilder. So let's get started. Okay, so question number 1 asks for tips for a healthy reverse. So for those of you that don't know, I am currently in my reverse diet, which reverse dieting just essentially means the opposite of dieting, right? So dieting down means lowering your calories, while reversing out of a show means increasing your calories. So I think the first thing we have to establish is that healthy reversing will look different for everybody, right? You have the people who are in the category that might have trouble putting on weight, or you might have people who are the opposite, that kind of either spiral out of control and binge eat and may gain a lot of weight, or may just not have the greatest metabolism, and as they slowly increase, they're just packing on more weight than they wanted to. So I think we could look at this from a couple different angles. I think we could also review this as healthy mindset as well. So the first tip that I have is more so based around nutrition, and it's just to keep your meals and snacks consistent. So if you were eating more whole foods while you were in prep, as you are reversing, you're going to eat those same exact meals, eat those same exact whole foods, but you're just going to increase the amount that you're eating. So for example, when I was on prep, a staple meal that I would have every day for breakfast would be cottage cheese with some veggies mixed in, as well as blueberries on the side. So the first thing I started doing as my carbohydrates increased was I just increased the amount of blueberries I was eating. So I was really sticking to my 3 main meals that I was having throughout prep, just increasing the portion sizes. My next tip, this just comes from my personal experience. So as you are reverse dieting, mainly your carbohydrates are going up, potentially a little bit of your fats as well, but it's mainly your carbohydrates that are increasing. And so something that I struggled with, being somebody that really does enjoy whole foods, is that I was increasing a lot of the fiber I was eating because I was increasing sources of fiber like veggies, whole grains, fruits. So with those sources came added fiber. So for reference, in prep, since my calories were a little bit low, I was probably consuming on average 15 to 20 grams of fiber per day. But then as I started reversing and my carbohydrates went up, I was eating almost close to 50 or 60 grams of fiber per day. So that was a pretty big increase. I definitely should not have increased it that fast. So I did experience some GI symptoms such as bloating, extra gas, and things like that that were very uncomfortable. So for me, one thing I needed to do was scale back on the amount of fiber I was consuming. So I have since done that, and with adding in more simple carbohydrates like maple syrups, rice cakes, just plain rice in general, and white potatoes, that has really helped to decrease my fiber to like a normal intake, which is around 30 grams of fiber for me. Most people need on average about 25 to 30 grams of fiber. So that is my tip number 2. Talking about the mental aspect of reversing, it can be a very big mental roller coaster. If you are in prep for 15, 20 weeks, dieting down, seeing the scale go down weekly, and that is your goal, it can be very hard to snap out of that and reverse your goal to gaining a healthy amount of body weight. So my tip number 3 is just be patient with the mental aspect of it. And something that really helped me was just to remind myself that my stage look, my stage weight was not healthy, and that I continually needed to grow and reverse, and kind of just flipping my goals to growing muscle, adding on the weight versus switching that mindset. You know, it can be really hard to switch that mindset from losing weight to now gaining weight. So just be patient with yourself when it comes to the mental aspect of things. Going off of this, knowing when to say no. And what I mean by this is that when you come out of prep, you are going to be tempted with a lot of things. One of those things, mainly around food, you know, you have a lot more flexibility now. So things that you may have not done in prep, like going out to dinner, ordering takeout, even like eating around family, is going to be something that may be hard for you. I know it was something that was hard for me. And around the holidays, around Thanksgiving, which was also my birthday week, I did indulge a little bit more than I wanted to. And so from there, I knew that rigidity was something that was very difficult for me to snap out of. And so because of that, I've learned to say no to certain things, like going out a lot or going to family events. So I'm learning to pick and choose where I want to have flexibility. And I think it's okay to have some sort of organization, especially if you're someone who's type A like me, to have some sort of rigidity and comfort in tracking your meals. But I also do think it's a good thing to be around family and get back to normalcy as well. So picking and choosing your no's is my next tip. Just picking a new goal, so switching that light switch from losing weight, dieting down, you know, being stage lean, to now what are you doing? Are you growing? Are you taking a long growing season? Do you have a photo shoot coming up? Even switching it to professional goals. So where do you want to be professionally? Are you trying to start a new business? Are you trying to get a new job? Do you want to do some continuing education? The New Year's coming up, so what are your goals around that? So switching that light switch onto a new goal. And then just in general, to keep with healthy reversing, just getting your sleep in check. So sleep is something that controls our hunger hormones. Specifically, it will increase your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, if you don't get enough sleep, and it'll suppress your leptin, which is our satiety hormone. So making sure you get enough sleep, 7 to 9 hours a night on average is what's recommended for adults. And then if you're somebody who struggles to, you know, if you gain weight too quickly, something is just, that's really helpful, is just making sure that you're keeping up with your intensity in the gym. If your intensity was a little bit lower in prep, just making sure you dial that up and you're staying consistent in the gym and being really intentional and having that extreme intensity with your workouts can be really helpful. So those are my tips for a happy and healthy reverse. I hope that was helpful. Okay, so the next question is, what's the one thing that helps improve your sleep the most? I would say for most people, it's just having a consistent sleep schedule. So that means going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. And this just helps to reinforce our own circadian rhythm. So if you're going to bed at 9 p.m. every night, our body kind of knows to start shutting down around that time. And the same thing if you're waking up at 5 in the morning, our body knows that that's the time that we wake up in the morning. So having that consistent sleep schedule can be really helpful. Also, just talking about things that personally for me have really helped is getting blackout curtains. So one thing that you want to do is make sure that your room is very cool, calm, comfortable, and dark. So getting blackout curtains has been really helpful, especially in the spring and summer when it gets more bright early in the morning and a little bit later or earlier at night. So that can be really helpful. And then also taking magnesium glycinate has really helped for me. Magnesium glycinate is really helpful for sleep and anxiety. Magnesium threonate is a little bit more helpful for stress management, depression, things like that. And then magnesium citrate is more helpful for digestion. So that's why I take magnesium glycinate. It's more helpful for sleep. But a lot of people are really deficient in magnesium. If you don't know if you're deficient in magnesium, tracking your food can be really helpful. So for me personally, I know that I meet around like 50% of my magnesium needs every day. I would say about 40% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So if that's you, it can be helpful to take a magnesium supplement. Magnesium helps with the neurotransmitters, specifically GABA, which controls how we sleep. So taking magnesium could be really helpful. Also making sure that, as I mentioned, your room is cool. So our body temperature just naturally drops at night. So helping to reinforce that drop and making sure that your room is about, I would say, 65 to 67 degrees. That can be really helpful as well. All right, the next question is about my stage weight and off-season weight. So it says, what's your off-season versus your stage weight? So my off-season weight, what my body is comfortable around, is about anywhere from 125 to 127. This off season, I wanted to build a little bit more, so we did push it into the 130s. So my highest weight was 132, and for reference, I'm 5'4", so I don't think it was anything that was completely like out of the ordinary, but we did push my body's natural limits. And then my stage weight was 105.9. And this was way lower than we thought it was going to be. If you are a first-time competitor, your coach, or even if you're self-coach, there's no real good way to know what your stage weight will be. I'm sorry to tell you that. We have like averages and we can kind of guesstimate. So for me, we thought that I was going to be about 110 pounds on stage. And again, for reference, I'm 5'4". But as we leaned down, you know, my front side got really lean and tight, but my back side had a little bit more trouble leaning out, which is very typical for first-time competitors, so you might fall into that category. So just as we were leaning out, and when we did get into that 110 range, we were still not stage ready, so we did have to push me a little bit more. So just know, again, if you're a first-time competitor, what my weight is might not be your stage weight. And then the next question is just, what were your calories leading into your show? I'm going to start this off by saying I like to be really transparent about my calories because I don't think a lot of people really are. But I also, a caveat to this, I want to set a little disclaimer that the calories that I was eating going into show and even on prep are not healthy for the majority of people, and people my size in particular. So for example, when my body was at its comfortable weight around that like 127 range, I was eating about 2,800 calories. I am somebody who has a very quick, fast metabolism, but I was eating a good amount of food and I was staying fairly lean, kind of more on the average side. But my calories for my stage presence, for my stage weight, were really, really low and not healthy for me or for the majority of people. So the Friday before my show, which was peak week, I was at 1,565 calories. And the lowest my calories ever got in prep, which was around like 2 to 4 weeks out, was when it got this low, was 1,215. So again, not anything that I, as a registered dietitian, would recommend for the majority of people. especially people who are regularly working out with as much intensity as I was giving in the gym. And then, as I mentioned, my highest calories were 2,800, and my highest carbohydrate intake was 410, which was a good amount of carbs. Some days I miss that, some days I don't miss that. But yeah, so those are my off-season and prep calories. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this Q&A. If you have any questions about anything that we discussed today, anything that you want me to expand on, or any new questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer anything. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, all the things. I'll be forever grateful, and I'll see you in the next one.